Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my
Rossy.
favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and
Rossy.
Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.
And Rossy.
All right, let's get started. Hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 179 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast. This one's been a little while coming. We were supposed to talk with this young lady last week. Unfortunately, she was just a little bit crook, so we did a deep dive instead on Dwight Yoakam's guitars, Cadillacs, hillbilly music. But we've got her here tonight. Unfortunately, it's not going to be our normal hour-long podcast because I've got a little thing called Cyclone Alfred coming down, bearing down on me. So it'll be probably a half-length show, just so I can make sure I get it all published and whatnot before I lose power. Let's welcome everyone to the show. I've got Braggy in Adelaide. I have got Rossy in Sydney, and we've got our super special guest, one of our faves. We've got our faves, haven't we? And it's Adele Oliver. And you're in Broome tonight. Am I right?
Not quite. I'm a little bit further south. I'm about 2,000 kilometres south of Broome in Kowara, which is a cute little town. Thanks for having me back on as well.
You're down where all the ups are.
With all the ups, and there is a lot of cows dotted around this town. Little plastic cows, just to sort of go with the name, with the theme of the name, and it's pretty cute. It's actually really adorable. So I've got these dogs barking.
No, that's all right. Dogs add character, don't they? So it's all cool.
I'm like trying to shut the blind to be like, don't look out here, guys. So yeah, I'm in a house here. I've adopted 2 little terriers, and they are really cute. Really cute.
Excellent. So you've been pretty busy since we last spoke to you. So let's start with the new song, Home Tonight.
Yeah, the new song, Home Tonight, has been a little while in the making, I suppose. This song was written back in 2020. I wrote it with someone I was playing music with at the time, sort of came to me with this riff, which was this beautiful guitar riff. His name's Bart Pickram. And we sort of knew it had to be a driving song. And so I took that away, took the little voice note away, and went for a drive around town, and had to think about what would come to mind. And I just left Fitzroy Crossing and come home to Broome. And it felt like the perfect kind of moment to talk about that story and to write that. And it was the perfect little riff to kind of bring that story out. So yeah, it started there. And I suppose the song really is just about trying to make sense of, leaving that part of my life and coming home. And often along a big drive is where I do most of my thinking. But that drive in particular was like, I don't know, I felt like I woke out of a dream and I kind of had to figure it all out. And by the time I got home, I still hadn't figured it all out, but I definitely did start to do my healing on that drive.
Yeah, it's got a real mournful feel to it, the song. I wrote, it's a good song for the last leg of the road trip. So obviously I was on the same page.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. That's cool. I like that. I'm going to steal that. A good song for the last leg of the road trip.
Well, yeah, but it must be really, really, especially for you, living as remote as you do, and then like you are now going to Perth and the Big Smoke Tamworth, which is kind of big as well. And it must get a little bit too much for you. So
it's definitely lots. I think at periods in my life, I felt like going into cities, especially when I was living in Fitzroy Crossing, you get real used to that slow pace of life. But at the moment, I'm handling cities a little bit better. I don't know. I think it's like I'm a little bit more acclimatized to getting out and about. And Sydney, for some reason, I really love Sydney. And I would think that is the busiest, most scary city in Australia. And I'm like, oh, this town's not bad.
It's delightful. It's a delightful place.
I love Sydney too.
Not a bad little town.
No, look, the amount of road miles you must do, just like you must get so in your head.
Do. And I find too, Up until, so most of the time when I'm driving, it starts to like shake up. Like town life, I don't write as many songs, but when I'm out, say like camping or spend a day trip out of town or go on a long drive, I find my brain just starts to I literally feel the pathways sort of open up and the songs start to flow. And I found that especially even on the drive down to Perth. But then for the rest of the tour, it's all closed back up. And I don't know, I think that might just be the busyness of tour and it's not as long. I think it's that long drive on a straight highway with no towns, nothing in between is when it clears the mind. There's something really special.
Do you reckon the cities, though, are for more up-tempo songs to get your frustration out? So there's probably something to write there as well.
Yeah, and I have to focus too much driving in a city or when there's more cars around. Like when you're on a highway where you just pass the occasional car, you're not it's a sort of very meditative state you end up in. You're not really, you're focused, but not, yeah.
I got the keys in my hand, I'm ready to go. It's 1:15, time to leave my temporary home. I drive a long way round for the very last time. It doesn't feel like a real goodbye. I'm still waiting for it all to sink in. I've got a pocket full of memories and nothing left to give. Never saw it ending out like this, but the writing on the wall was giving me hints. It might take longer than a 4-hour drive. It'll all make sense in time. I'll be sleeping at home tonight.
In a different
There's
way.
parts of the world you're driving in and you're just like going, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And sometimes Sydney feels a bit like that.
Oh, Sydney, yeah, it was a bit. Melbourne, I've never driven in Melbourne, but I feel like I would be an anxious wreck somehow for the most of that.
Absolutely. Adele, I love the way you sing. You know, you've just got that real Aussie sort of twang in your voice, especially in some of the lines where you sort of finalize the line. And we saw it in Angel where you sort of cut off a line to make a real impact.
Oh, yeah.
And I hear it again in and I pardon me, I forgot to write down the line, but
is it home? Is it when I say home?
Yeah, home or go. When you say go, or
I
home.
think too what happens is when I'm trying to pronounce something very clearly, then it's like home, and it's like a real the Aussie. And my family actually teased me initially when I came out the studio and showed them these recordings, because previously I still had the Aussie accent, but I wasn't as good at enunciating maybe in my first round of recording, but I got better through that process. And the producer, Pete Granderson, was really good. Because that's what's great about the studio, you learn so much. But after this one as well, I was even clearer. And the family were like, home, like they were teasing me. I was like, it's actually something people have said. And I think something that I like about artists that I grew up listening to, and it's probably what's filtered through with, the Waifs and Missy and Casey, I love that in those artists where they pronounce. Yeah.
Sarah Blasco.
Del, I've just got the line up because I've got your visualizer on the other screen here, and it says, I got the keys in my, it's the very first line of the song.
Yeah.
I got the keys in my head and I'm ready to go.
Go.
I'm ready to go.
It's great. See, I don't know what, I'm no A&R man, I don't really know, but I figure if anything's ever going to crack America from Australia, you can't be singing like an American. You got to sing in. What do you think, Rossy?
Well, yeah.
I've been thinking about it, and like in terms of being a singer, right, and with singers generally, that the vowels are important, because sometimes if you hit the wrong vowel or the wrong sound, it actually sounds out when it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, in vocal technique, there's a lot of that, selecting the right vowel, and sometimes if it doesn't sound right, you change an e to an r or an o to and it goes in. It's the same word, right? So if you actually have a good listen to a lot of songs, a lot of singers, they say words that don't sound like the words because they're actually changing the vowel to keep the pitch going, right?
That's an excellent point.
But
That's a good point. I recently discovered that point in a vocal lesson.
Yeah, vocal coaches are all over that, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it helps. Vocal health is really important too.
Yeah, that helps massively. And I've never considered that in writing a song either. So like in the previous song, we talked about Angel, where it's like chasing these fantasies, and it's at the top of my vocal range, and that is the worst vowel sound to make. Going like ooh is fine. So I should have tried to say something like not like fantasies, but it's fine. She teaches you other ways. But yeah,
you transmute that you can actually morph into that other consonant, that other syllable, and get through it, and it's liberating when you hear you can hear that. But the charm of the Australian accent has got a lot to do with it too, though, because you don't want to lose that.
No, and I think too, one of my values anyway as a person, but as an artist, because I've thought about this a bit, is authenticity. And it's probably like one of the things I think maybe I've got, the best thing going for me in a sense is like no one else has this exact life I'm living, is, even writing songs in the same way about the same place as me. So that's maybe my one point of difference. And I kind of try and hold on to that, because otherwise then I would just be sort of flooding the market with whatever's already out there, which there's so much music. And even on Spotify, like naturally the algorithm preferences American music, I think, anyway. And so like I would think that hopefully it's the authenticity of the Australian songs that might. And even then, I don't mind if my music never goes to America anyway. I'm pretty happy with it being Australian audience and my family and friends and everyone anyway. So I guess I've started from that point, and anything on top of that's pretty good.
But the concept of being uniquely you and having a point of difference that is uniquely you is a strong strength, I think. That's the thing, is that it's easy to like you just see an act get successful and then it's churn out half a dozen exactly the same, and like, really, come on. Yeah,
and what it means, I think too, like when I was a kid listening to the Waves, and they have that line in their song where they're like, "No, we're sitting here at Cable Beach," and they reference Cable Beach, and I was a kid growing up in Broome, and that's our beach. I would love that, and we all just felt so proud that someone had written this song, and they lived in Broome and loved Broome, and that's kind of the best thing about being an Aussie artist and getting to write stories about these places, is that other people then connect with it, and I guess it kind of brings you together in that way.
Yeah, that's very good point too.
But very authentic. And speaking of authentic, you weren't content just to put out a video clip. You were content to put out a visualizer. Walk me through this concept, because, personally I love it. But where did this idea come from? Well,
I think initially I probably was setting out to make a video, but a few things changed, and the project, I guess I had this kind of one idea, and it had to change. And last minute, I approached Mark Jones, who was the filmmaker on this, and it was getting towards the end of the year. I knew this song was coming for release, and it was getting towards Christmas, and I sort of said to Mark, like, I have this song, I really can imagine something to do with I was like, if not a video clip, like a visualizer. And I showed him, because he was like, what's a visualizer? And I showed him what it is. Just repetitive kind of imagery around, that sort of somewhere between a video. And I said I could really imagine, some just Kimberley clips that drive to Fitzroy and some driving shots. And he was like, let me see what I've got. And he went away, looked at his catalogue, and all of those drone shots are what he had. He's like such an extensive filmmaker of the Kimberley that he was already straight away like, and he did the other video I have of mine, Silver Night, we did together. So even then he was like, maybe there's some stuff we didn't use from that. But then we decided it was coming up to wet season. He was like, but let's go out to Roebuck Plains and let's get some fresh footage of you driving, and then we'll kind of stitch it together. And I kind of just trusted in Mark and just in the fact that the footage itself would speak for itself. Like, it didn't need too much, just having that imagery there. But what was so cool too is that Mark has, like, the first images that you see there are the Fitzroy River, and early up, like, it's the top end of the Fitzroy River near Fitzroy. And then the rest of the imagery, as the landscape changes, is the drive and the landscape, and it goes to the mouth of the river, and then it comes to the coast, and then it's Broome. So it traverses the drive, essentially, all of that drone footage to Broome. And I really love that. Yeah, so basically, if you were to do a sort of aerial view, you would see those kind of landscapes. And I guess too, I don't know too much about things, but whether it is technically a visualizer or it's a video clip, I still felt, just because of the repetitiveness of the imagery of me walking and driving, it feels more visualizer-y. And maybe not as
embedding the lyrics on it sometimes one of the things, the points of differentiation with the visualizers. Yeah. Some of the biggest bands in the world, like, you go look at Slipknot visualizers, and they've had millions upon millions upon millions of views. It's like phenomenal.
I've seen visualizers that I've really loved, and I just have been like, the song speaks for itself anyway, so I didn't and then to make a video for this, I didn't have much in mind other than driving and the landscape anyway. It's not like, you know how sometimes with a song, the song can have its story, and then you can make a video and the story completely changes, and the two things can be almost completely different. I didn't think this could happen with this song. It kind of, to me, in my head, always had to just be as it was.
I guess case in point is My Girl by the Hoodoo Gurus. Everyone thinks it's about a greyhound because of the but it's not. It's about Dave and a girl, which is like a whole other story. We won't go into that.
That's one for Rossy's backstories.
Yeah.
So you know what else makes me visualize like the Kimberley is the vibrato on the guitar in this as well. Really strong vibrato on it, Rossy.
Yeah,
you don't hear enough of these days.
No, look, like, it's kind of that, you know, I don't know, like, you hear it in a lot of that Americana stuff, the vibrato that comes in, and, you know, like
the heat wave.
It evokes the heat. It evokes rattlesnakes or what have you. You know.
Yeah.
Like, but that open plain, like there's these unknown sounds, and they're just there as part of the soundscape. Yeah.
Yeah. The doors.
Yeah.
I like that's what you guys have gotten out of it. Yeah, because that was kind of a decision. And James Newhouse, obviously crucial in that. We really thought up, like, what sort of sounds we wanted, and that etherealness from the guitars was something we
ethereal. Good word.
Ethereal.
I love it.
That was the word in the studio, was like ethereal. And we looked at other artists and, you know, some references of things people had used to achieve those sounds, and it was pretty cool. I think that he really was instrumental in making that really ethereal sound.
I desperately want a vibra slap, Braggy. I want one so bad. I keep on looking at him going, I don't know. I really want one. I'll probably just use it once.
Is it like the pedal? No.
It's like a wooden block with a rod on it, and you hit a ball, and it sounds like a rattlesnake. It's actually the sound of when you hit like a lizard on the head and the teeth rattle.
What?
That's where it came from originally.
Really?
It's a South American percussion instrument.
Hitting a lizard on the head.
Like a dead one. Don't get hit live with lizard.
That poor lizard.
You know, it's in that song by Cake, Short Skirt, Long Jacket.
I love the sound of it. I know a couple of places have, but that's that sort of realm. It's that universe of sounds. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. And so Braggy described it as the song for the driving song for the last leg home.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming that's linked to the line, "I'll be sleeping at home tonight," which I think is a universal thought that goes into people's heads whenever they're traveling.
I've just got to make it. I'm so close. Yeah.
I always think of that. People have accidents in the last 5 minutes before they get home, and I'm like, just wake up, you idiot.
Concentrate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that same thing.
So
Well,
how's
you're
the song?
Oh yes.
How's the song going for you, Adele?
I think really good. I've been really stoked with the way it's gone. It got to, I think, maybe number 10 on the AMRAP regional charts, which is pretty
That's
great.
great. That's great.
For me, for a little gal from Broome. And I think that just means maybe people are connecting with the story, and it's probably it's a good song for radio. It's quite, that driving ribbon. And I think most of the time we're listening to radio is probably while we were driving. So I had that working for me. So I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I think I just really wanted it to get played on ABC, and I was hoping for some good AMRAP love, and that was my 2 goals. And I'm like, that's
AMRAP is the unsung hero of independent artists. They're fantastic.
I agree.
The amount of independent stuff that they play, it's just fantastic. Yeah,
and that links straight to the radio presenters. I think what's been really beautiful this time around, because I did my own publicity, was getting to link directly with the presenters of the shows and to form those relationships, and it's just been a really beautiful way of doing it. So I've really liked it.
And they really love it when you do too, those guys, because they're just like us. They're just all fans who just love the music, and if they connect with an artist and the artist gives them time, they love it, and they'll play you forever, I reckon.
Yeah, I think, and then it's true. You just, the next time, I've got my list now, and the ones that were really keen and played me are straight to the tops, and I go straight there. And it makes it a little bit easier, so it's perfect.
List building is the great growth tool. List building is the great tool for growth, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
See, this is just the new music industry. It's slowly forming, isn't it?
It is.
It's
and I think through building, what I'm finding in it is building communities. So finding the people who are champions of your music and who, that you can sort of go back to time and again. That's the part of what I love about it, because you think you can get so bogged down and overwhelmed with, there's this amount of other music being released, why would mine have a drop in the ocean? And then you go back to, I have these relationships with people that I can go to, and it kind of makes it feel all worthwhile in the end, that you are being seen and heard, not just dropping your music off into a void and hoping it gets somewhere.
100%.
It does feel like that. It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
sometimes
feels like that when you put out podcast episodes too. At times,
if you're a music lover like we all are, you like nothing better than showing your mate, listen to this. This is this new thing I found. Love doing that,
Yeah.
So,
but that's what social media is built on. Is people love recommendations from their friends, right? Yeah. You make a post of an act, and your mates jump on it and go, "Yeah, that's so cool. It's a great thing," And you trust your friends. You trust the people you know.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. And you've been touring a bit, so I noticed you played down in Bunbury in WA, and I've got a friend in Bunbury, and but I only found out you were playing there too late, so I wasn't able to say, get down and see Adele down.
It wasn't really helpful if you did, because he would have made that room have 4 people in it.
No.
Those gigs are good for you, though.
It was a good gig for me. It was one of those classic pub gigs that had a big tribute band the night before, and so I guess everyone had already done their night out, and it was just one of those, real sort of like you have to work on it gigs. There was a guy up at the pool table just further behind the sound desk who was like, play Summer of '69, and then there's a girl sitting intently watching this woman and her partner, and she's going, I don't think she's taking requests, and she's clapping back at him, and it was just so beautiful. And I was like,
they build strength though, those gigs. They build.
But there's those classic stories of people doing a show for 8 people, and one of them is an American record executive, and that's why when you're doing those shows, you just got to bash it out and do what you do. You don't compromise.
And I did, and I just end up playing what I want to play, and I just do my thing anyway. And so at one point he did say, can you play Landslide? And I was like, yeah, only because I was going to anyway. And so I played it. Everyone loved it.
Fuck yeah.
So it was fun. was good.
Hey, Adele, I'll tell you one gig that I would pick out that I'd really like to go to see if I was over there in the West, and that's you're playing at, I wrote it down, this Clancy's Fish Pub
Oh yeah.
at Frio, but
Yeah.
it seems like there's two other people there, Stella Moon, which these people I don't know, and Lexiana, and it's the Women of the Kimberley.
Yeah.
I don't know those two girls, but they look like I saw the pictures. They look like they got stories to tell.
Oh my goodness. Stella Moon is like a soul powerhouse. She is, I just looked at my computer and realized it's running out of charge. She is like, I don't know, like Etta James kind of Kimberley version, and just beautiful songwriter. And then Lexi Anna she's from Bidjananga, which is just south of Broome, musical family. And her voice is like incredibly strong, soulful woman as well. And they both sing in language and beautiful stories. But Lexi Anna has this song that has this line in it that talks about wanting to walk with Jesus because she's gone back to faith. And I've left the church and I'm non-denominational, not Christian or anything. And I'm like, yeah, I want to walk with Jesus too after I hear her sing that. Yeah. It's so beautifully powerful. Like it's just powerful. And even when you not necessarily, connect with, you're not a Christian person, but you connect with that music because you can't not. So I love that stood out to you.
I understand that. I saw Mavis Staples at the Byron Bay thing, and man, she nearly converted me. Like, I'm not religious at all, and I was just like, oh my God, I believe.
Mavis Staples would be incredible. I think, I totally get that. So that's going to be a special one. I'm really excited to play with them.
And it looks like a really cool venue.
Yeah, Clancy's Fish Pub is great. They have like 3 of them. There's one there and a couple down south. Okay. And it's real quirky. I think they have like a sea shanty night, or they did for a while, where people just go and sing sea shanty, which I love.
Oh, dear.
I want to go on sea shanty night.
So Women of the Kimberley, that's so you need to do some publicity for those other 2 ladies and get them on the podcast.
I'd love to
that would be cool actually. And I think I reckon they would love chatting with you guys. So let's do this.
So where are you this weekend? Does it say you're at Bustleton this weekend?
Oh, this weekend I'm a bit everywhere. I've got Bustleton, which is on Friday. It's a kind of it's a brewery, so that'll be cool. And then Saturday I'm doing 2 gigs in one night. I'm going to Rosemount Hotel, which is in one part of the city, and then I drive to the dead opposite side of Perth and go and play in Fremantle. And that's called Jerry's Gold. That's like a laneway style festival. And then I come back down south and I play in a chapel with my 2 buddies from Broome on Sunday.
So it's 4 in 3 days. That's good.
4 in 3 days, yeah. It's pretty good. But between them, there's a few hundred kilometres. So
yeah.
Good. Yeah, I enlisted a driver actually on this one. I've done it all myself, and then Dad was floating around, and I was like, "Well, do you want to drive me to Margaret River on Sunday?" He was like, "Yep." So the truck driver's enlisted.
Yeah. Those road miles come on. Here they go again. Those road miles.
Oh yeah, and it's easy for him too. So I was like,
there's another song coming, I reckon, out of that trip. But now we are running out of time on my self-imposed deadline for tonight. And it's such a shame because I'm enjoying this conversation. But I need to hear the journey from Broome to Tamworth. How was it? And then tell us about Tamworth from your experience. So
there's some beautiful little moments in that. So we started at I can't remember what date. It was just after New Year's. We left at like 5 a.m. drove to Perth. It was 2 days. So 5 a.m. you stop at like 6:30, camp overnight, then 5 a.m. again, and you get to Perth by about 4 p.m. the next day. So 24 hours of solid driving. Dad was in front in his own car, and then I'm behind with the radio. And beautiful, like hearing Dad talk on the radio to the truckers, no syllables needed. Like it's the least syllables, the better. And it's like such a great lesson in how to talk on a two-way to truckers. And they know who the truckers are because Dad's like, yep, heavy vehicle coming around, wide load, yep, pass, mate. Like it's just so simple. When we get to Perth, repacked, flew over to Sydney, get to Sydney, and I picked up a van. And I had 2 shows on the way up to Tamworth, and everything so far was going pretty well. No hiccups on the drive down. Sydney, all good.
What were the shows on the way through?
Couple of shows. So I played in Terrigal at Mumbo Jumbo's Beach Bar. That was really fun. That was a hilarious lineup. There was a heavy punk rock band, me, and an alternative kind of indie rock, beautiful girl, Angela Rose, and the band was called Kitty Vincent. And just the lineup, the contrast in all 3 of us playing. So that was great. And then I had a night off, and then I played in Old Bar on the Friday night before I was due in Tamworth on the Saturday morning. So I was like, I'll go camp out in a field. I had my van, so I wanted somewhere like calm and sort of empty to camp. So I looked up High Camp, that app, found a beautiful field to camp in, and the field was in Stroud, which is sort of between the 2 places on the East Coast. Raining a lot though at this point. So I'm driving up towards the place. It's raining. It's pretty muddy. I'm looking at all the fields thinking, I think it's been a bit wet around here. Call the farmer. He was like, no, she's all good. Pull up there. And I'm driving down this driveway. It's an empty paddock. And I'm looking out and I was like, it looks pretty wet, but farmer said it was okay. Dad's voice is like, walk at first. And I was like, it's too wet to walk. I don't really want to walk that. Drive onto the grass, bolt straight away.
Dad was right.
I was like, classic, next day due to play an Old Bar. And I called the farmer and he was like, yeah, I'll come get you out in the morning. So I had to camp in this field overnight, bogged. And I was like, I hope this river's not going to flood. So anyway, that was my little bit of excitement. And then I get to Old Bar play and I made it to Tamworth. But even the drive from Old Bar to Tamworth, 3.5 hours, maps told me, for this little van that couldn't do more than like 50 up the hills. It took 5 hours or almost 5.5. So I get to Tamworth, getting changed in the car park of the shopping centre to go to Amber Lawrence's new artist showcase to play for the first gig. So just get there and run in and play the gig, which was really beautiful and like great way to start. And then the next day lost my voice. So the journey to Tamworth took its toll. I got it back by the end of the week. So I ended up spending more time networking in Tamworth than singing. But it actually wasn't kind of all bad. Like it meant that I got to go and sort of see it from a little bit of a back, stepped back a bit, and I got to kind of see where I might want to focus my energy next year. I still played some shows when my voice came back on the street, and the response from people when I was busking was beautiful, and the showcase was really lovely, and I played in a Toyota Zone and played on a truck, and that was all really cool. I just I think it's just so much going on there. And there's so many.
It's so good that in 2025 you can still have that experience, like driving from gig to gig, driving yourself from gig to gig, Rossy, eh?
One of the guys I work with, he was up in Tamworth, and he drives up there every year and does like 12 hours. He drives every morning. He does an 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock show, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. They do like a breakfast show.
Yeah,
it's crazy,
and it's like on all day. The whole thing starts at 8. Like really,
and it is, and there's so much music, but. Even just the music that I saw of other people. So even when I was there, I went to a bunch of shows and I was just learning, looking at people, even looking at stagecraft, and even going to Amber Lawrence's show. I got to see her and just seeing her, the way she engages her audience. So the whole time I was just a sponge, just seeing and really varied areas of the country genre too, because we know it's such a big genre that you can't really. And so I got to see a lot, and I did make some really beautiful friends, and I got to see the rodeo finals. I even got to meet a judge of the rodeo, which was pretty good. On my last day in Tamworth, I made friends in a laundromat with one of the judges of the rodeo. And he was like,
friends with the judge of a rodeo in a laundromat.
It was the best. I was like, in another lifetime, this could end up a love story, but it was on a judge.
I'll write the song anyway. You can.
I will. No, I'm good.
You get a whole album's worth of songs just from this one trip.
Being stuck in the field.
Yeah.
I actually also ended up meeting this other farmer. This will be my last story, I promise. This is just such a beautiful small world thing. I was sitting down in the Toyota Zone, and this farmer, he just reminded me so much of one of the farmers from when I was younger, like mum and dad's friends. And he was looking for somewhere to sit. It was sunny. I was like, oh, pull up a pew. And so he sits down and we're chatting, and very few syllables again. And I said to him, "Oh, whereabouts you from?" He goes, "Oh, a farm in Gloucester, got some dairy farm." The guy was near Gloucester the other day. I was camped in a field near Stroud, and he goes, "Oh, I've got a good mate in Stroud." I was like, "Oh, well, the farm was called Brett," and he pulled me out. Maybe I shouldn't say his name. Anyway, Farmer Brett pulled me out the next morning, and he goes, that's my good mate." And this bloke, and then he calls him, and I'm having a chat to the farmer, and he goes, "Oh, you made it to Tamworth. Good on you."
That's Australian.
They pulled me out with the tractor, and I just loved that little. So it was
there is a story in that. I can't wait to hear this album, Braggy. I don't know about you, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah. It's just for sure. It's definitely a story there.
Oh, there's so many. I'm literally just flowing out of my head.
Just keep all those names and just change them. So it's like the band, like the weight. Upland and Upland and Tamworth.
You just change them as you go.
Yeah, there's a story there for sure.
Watch this space. I'll be back hassling you guys to talk to me again in
that's good.
Probably 3 years. By the time it's taken me to write these songs and then promote them, it's a 3 or 4 year cycle. I'll try and get it smaller.
and we'll think back and say, she talked about that 3 years ago on one of our podcasts. So, Adele, you're always welcome. We just love what you bring to the music world, that whole concept of the Kimberleys, Broome, and being this very authentic person that's just doing things a bit differently, but it seems to be working for you. You've been on tour. I know we talked a little bit before we started recording that you're thinking back to your younger days and thinking, I'm on tour. So, and just well done. Just
it's
doing great things.
It's proper Australian music.
I appreciate it. And I really appreciate that you take the time to get to sit and talk with me and promote my music as well, because that's the big part too. Like, feeling successful is knowing that there are champions for your music. So you guys are part of that. Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Absolutely. Well, we love it. So where can people find you, or what's your favorite social media platform for people to check you out?
I'm probably most active on Instagram, I would say. But if you're not so much one of those people, my website's fairly well updated, and you can kind of link to Instagram, Facebook, and music. So maybe just AdeleOlivermusic.com if you're a website person. It's all there. But definitely have a look at that visualizer. It'll be on the website and in YouTube. So
it's
follow along.
It's a classic, and hopefully I've had the time to edit in a little snippet of that in our interview to give people a bit of a sneak peek. So, all right. So thank you so much, Adele. Always a pleasure. Boys, I'm sorry we're cutting this one short. I feel we could have talked for at least another hour potentially, but I do have a cyclone bearing down on me, so it's probably the right thing for me to do, to pull up stumps and strap myself down and hope to God we don't get blown away.
Stay safe there, Curly.
You'll be fine, mate.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I had to laugh yesterday. I was coming home from work, and Monday I came home from work. I couldn't get into my local Bunnings because the traffic was just all over the place. Here I was thinking I'll just pop in and get some batteries, Couldn't get in, so went to the supermarket. There's no toilet paper. Not that we needed toilet paper, but there was no toilet paper, no water. People are panicking. And I'm thinking, okay, so that was Monday. And so yesterday I'm coming home and I'm thinking, I better get the real essentials here, and Braggy will know what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about real essentials for a cyclone. So
BWS?
I popped into a place and I got the carton of beer, and I got my wife some ginger beer, and I think we're all set. So
the worst thing, I haven't been through so many cyclones, being born in Townsville and living up there. It's the worst part of it is that after it's done, and then you got no power for freaking 2 weeks or something because there's trees everywhere. That's the worst part. That's when you wish you had a generator or you had something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It won't be so bad in Brisbane at this time of year, I guess.
Oh, they're saying if we lose power, potentially 3 days. So Stewie's got a camper van. He's got solar panels. He's got batteries. I'll just pop down and drink beer with him. So, By the time this episode comes out, hopefully the cyclones hit Brisbane. I hope everyone's listening to this is absolutely safe. Adele, love your music. I'll make sure your links are in the show notes. Until next time, everyone, be safe and keep getting out and supporting music. Thanks again, guys. See you soon.